All right, welcome back. All right, so the canopy is on, and I had to do a couple little things to get this thing to fit right. Like, if you don't, these things just don't line up like they should. You know, they're not perfect. Like, I wish they would do a little bit more, and I might tweak it just a hair because it's off. It needs to shift to the left just a little bit, and when you go just to the left just a little bit, it sits perfect. But then again, when the guide pin goes in, as long as you do the guide pin right, it'll pull it over. But what I had to do, instead of bringing the whole thing out, because that just didn't work, I essentially just put one of these little thin pieces, just kind of, because I was just trying to see what would work. So I put one over here on the bottom, and just to kind of, because what was happening was the back side was hitting first. So essentially you had to bring the butt up without going forward. So to do that, you got to tilt the bottom part of the mount up just to kind of bring it up just a hair. I did hit this with sanding in a little bit just to kind of give it a little bit more clearance back here. And that worked, but it still was like way off on alignment. So I just took this piece and I slid it to the side over here and put the screw in, and that was perfect. So now there's no gap on either side. Before, it had like this side fit perfect, and that side had a huge gap and everything. So yeah, I think if I know if I even loosen that screw just a hair, and I put a third screw. It's kind of hard to see, but I put a screw there at the bottom just to kind of help hold it in place, so you didn't have any back and forth movement. But yeah, so I think if I loosen that right side just a hair, it will probably fit perfect. And then I put I did trim this a little bit, and that's just ugly. Gosh, you know, because that thing's thicker than an air cylinder. So I'm just gonna cut those off and use the metal piece like I said. And because what I got to do, and I did it on the first one, I just didn't know it until I looked at pictures. But this is the plastic piece that mounts into the end of the linear actuator. Well, because it sticks forward, it's hard to see there, but see how it kind of comes forward a little bit. On my last one, I had trimmed that off and like mounted it a little further back just to give it a little bit of a clearance, because when it comes all the way down here, the air seal, this thing, to go completely flat, ends up pushing back to like right here. So to get it right there and get it all the way down, you gotta have, you gotta bring this, push this back further. Because even with it all the way retracted, it was only getting to like right here. Just staying open like that much. And just by that little bit of movement, pushing back on the top and then coming forward just a hair on the bottom mount, it gives it enough room to sit flush. So that's kind of where it's at. And I will probably do that tomorrow, because I think I'm gonna call it a night. Go maybe chill out, have some beverages, and just chill a little bit. Yeah. Doing these builds, you know, especially since I've done this one like a few times, it's hard to stay motivated. Like, I've essentially built this thing, like this will be my third time. Yeah, I like building, I do, but I'd like to build something different. But I mean, that's a sharp looking jet. It'll be sharp once it's done. And I don't know, I was gonna clean this out like I did the other one, because they just take like a gold kind of and just hit it with like spray paint on the inside, and it just blurs the canopy, but it gives it that gold look that you see. I would rather just stick it in some RIT dye to give it that same effect, because then it wouldn't be blurry. Because when you put the cockpit in there, you know, it just gets blurry. But we'll see. You can clean it out with alcohol like I did the last one. But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna call it and get back on this tomorrow, being Saturday. So tomorrow I should be able to finish up the cowling or the canopy, and then I'll work on doing the nose. And then once that's done, I'll kind of switch gears and come back to the gear doors, getting all that, getting that painted tomorrow, hopefully, because it was crazy windy today. Nice and sunny and warm, but just crazy windy, and I don't want to worry about that stuff blowing everywhere. So I will hopefully get that painted tomorrow. But yeah, we'll see. And then after that, let's see, that essentially is kind of like, hey, everything needs to start going together, running everything final assembly. So it's a quick build when there's not a lot of stuff to fix. So, but you guys have a good evening. I'm gonna get this uploading, and I'll talk to you later. Cheers.